This podcast is sponsored by Relevant. It's a new iOS app to consolidate the media you want to see in a place you control. With Relevant, you stay up to date with things you're actually interested in. You tell Relevant what's relevant to you, and you'll be given all the content you love from all across the internet, all in one place. It's available on iOS devices and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
I had no other choice, put it all on the line for you. I do it for my dogs that are still doing time for you. Yeah, I just thank God that I'm still alive for you.
Alright, William is here. We're live now.
Yeah.
Woo!
Hey! Live on the outside, dead on the inside.
All right, everybody. We are here on a Monday instead of a Wednesday, so we're planning on ruining your Monday. No one is in the cafeteria at El Tri-C, so they don't have to listen to us. So this is the Poorly Edited Podcast, and I'm fairly certain no one is listening. But if you are, we're glad to have you on. We have an awesome guest on today. We have the usual crew. We have Caddy on the camera because Josh isn't here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Caddy.
We have the intro song is Madison Hughes per usual. I can't say Madison. So let's make some introductions first. So first, I am Storm. Next up, we have...
My name is Coffee Guy. I don't have any coffee today.
Oh, sacrilegious. And then we have next to him...
I'm Chandler Davis, and I'm really sick. I don't feel good.
Oh, okay. All right. And we have...
Patrick Lilly. That's
good.
Yeah, all right.
All right. And so up next is our guest. Who is our guest?
Say your name.
William.
My name's Jeff.
We have Jeff Osman. William Osman's brother.
Give me tech William Osman. All right. So...
Yeah, it's me.
So, Jeff, you want to explain what your brother does?
Good job, Patrick. That's how this is going to be for the next hour.
Am I doing a good job so far?
You know what? No, you're not. What? We'll let it happen. All right. Will, why don't you tell us why you're on our podcast? Do you even know?
No, I don't.
No, not really.
Okay, all right.
I just said yes to your email.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell us, like, what is your YouTube channel about? What do you do? What is your creative you know what? Just tell us what your YouTube channel is about first.
Okay, the YouTube channel is about doing stupid things, and I don't know. I mean, I figure a lot of people, when they do stuff, they have to have a reason to do it, and so we've done the exact opposite. We come up with projects that there's literally no way to explain or any reason to do, and then we try and do it and watch what happens.
Sweet.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
with
awesome.
Noble pursuit.
Science-oriented.
Yeah, and then you just hope you get paid, right? Like, that's the end goal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
A lot of deep hurts there.
Didn't in one of your videos you talk about your dad sending you job applications?
Yeah, he does. He actually saw that, and I don't remember what he did. I think he stopped sending me job applications.
Just gave up.
So did they pay for you to go to school and then we're just like grumpy about what you decided to do?
Maybe. I don't really know. It wasn't super expensive for school. I paid for about half of it, but I had a discount because my dad worked in the school system.
Oh, okay.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, so I it would have been even then not that expensive to go to a state school. So I think it would have been like, I don't know, like $7,000 a year or something for tuition.
That's pretty good.
And so I left school with very little debt. But
Did you graduate?
That. Yeah, I graduated a couple years ago, and then I tried doing some stuff on my own, like not YouTube oriented, like doing some startup stuff or a Kickstarter, something where we make a product and sell it, and kind of ended up not really doing that. We went pretty far through a couple of potential ideas, but that was boring. And so I somehow managed to figure out how to make money on YouTube, and that's what happens now.
Did that sort of come because you were trying to come up with like a Kickstarter idea and you just kept coming up with really silly stuff? And they were like, wait a minute, I can put this on YouTube.
Not really. I don't know. I think it started off documenting serious projects, and like it's just really what's the word for when things started off with like good and then went bad, devolved?
Yes.
Our show?
Yeah, our show.
Already. Oh my gosh, we were supposed to be semi-professional.
Has Cameron John been with you every step of the way?
Cameron.
Say it again? Cameraman John?
John been there the entire journey?
Yeah, we've been, Cameraman John and I, oh, you're mute, you're not supposed to talk. We've been making videos for like 10 years now.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not these videos, though. This stuff obviously is very recent, but we've been doing stuff since high school, I think. So yeah, he's been here the whole journey.
It's pretty cool.
All right, so I have a question. I want to know what your biggest failure with Kickstarter was. Let's start with the bad stuff. So, like, what's a project you came up with that just went down in like a flaming disaster?
So none of them were actually like got far enough I would consider to turn into a flaming disaster. But the first one, which is I guess good and bad, since I clearly didn't put enough effort to get far enough into it to have a flaming disaster. But the first one was like I wanted to build like a motion control system because we've been doing film stuff and we used to do special effects and stuff for fun, and being able to control the camera with like a little motorized thing would be very cool, and they're very expensive. And so I started building something and writing a lot of software and learning a lot of software, and I just kind of didn't give up on it. I just got bored. And then the next one, a year or two later, was a gardening sensor. So you could put this little sensor in the ground, and it would tell you when to water your plants. And we were trying to like come up with like the most inexpensive, almost disposably cheap product. And then we got halfway through it and kind of decided like, this is a stupid idea, and ended up kind of bailing on it. But we created so much stuff for that. Like we had prototypes, we had like a campaign halfway set up, and we bailed on it last minute. So I think that would probably be the most spectacular failure.
I'm actually kind of excited about the garden thing. Why'd you give up on that?
I was almost like, that's a great idea. Yeah, it was a bad idea.
Because some people have done it already, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that you have to start competing on price, which is a bad thing because now you're just chasing the bottom. I don't know. You got to make something that people are willing to buy. And looking at what people had been created already, they were really expensive, and not a lot of people were buying them. It just seemed like a bad place to try and go.
Well, I think we're glad that you didn't go that route.
Yeah, this is more fun.
Yeah.
We totally still would have had you on the podcast for your garden thing, but I think this is a little more exciting. Is that that kind of process also? Hey, you had the thing that measured acceleration and deceleration. Is that like the same process? Or was that
for what?
Didn't you have a sensor that measured acceleration and deceleration on like cars?
Oh yeah, so that was like a sort of quick, couple week project. And I mean, you mean the same as the Kickstarter, or?
Yeah, was it just like trying to make something cheap?
Are you comparing that to the plant sensor? Are you comparing that acceleration thing to the plant?
I mean, it all starts the same way. You just come up with an idea, and ideally it's a problem that lots of people have that are willing to spend money on it, and then you sort of make a prototype to see if it works, and then you play with it, and then you realize it's not necessarily that great of an idea. But the car one is kind of the similar vein, but it's not something that people are necessarily willing to spend money on. It's just they're really expensive to buy, and so we made it for our own use, and the process though is very similar to making that kind of stuff.
Okay.
All right, that's awesome. All right, so we're gonna divert a little fast here for a second. We usually go around and talk about what our creative process or what we're doing kind of creatively right now in like the last week or so. So we're gonna go around the room real fast, and then we're gonna go to you, William, because you're far more interesting. Because I don't think any of us are doing anything right now. Chandler, are you doing anything?
I want to the next video in the series of like things that I'm doing is like coming out really soon. But other than that, I've been working on this show so much. It's really taking up most of my time.
I think we all had some cool creative projects going on, and then we just kept making more work for ourselves with the podcast. And then we don't have time to do anything, which is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Well, no,
we knew that.
You were working on that video in the lab, and then I came and distracted you.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's not
Yeah.
coming out.
Okay.
All right, Patrick.
Wait, what do you guys do? Are you like
That's a great
filmmaking
question. We don't know.
I don't.
A couple of us.
Wait. What were you gonna say?
Frustrated, man.
I can't tell like what the like demographic here is. Are you guys like in school? Are you like out of school?
We all go to the same community college in Pennsylvania, and
okay.
we all have varying majors. Some of us don't have majors. Yeah, we just kind of have common interests.
Some of
more
us
than
don't want to be
anything.
successful. I'm a film major.
I'm also a film major.
Yeah.
I'm going into communications.
Ugh.
Oh, nice. And I'm like gen ed, but we just I don't know, we all like movies and music and pop culture stuff.
Yeah,
so,
but we all do like on not outside of college. We all do stuff. You know, play music and all kinds of different.
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like that
the
too.
goal here is I want to start putting up my original music on YouTube. Storm does some vlogs, which are pretty funny, even though he says they're trash. I like them.
Aw.
Chandler's probably the most cinematic of his
Yeah.
content.
Aw.
I think he actually really tries.
I can't take
Hey, I do try, okay?
Okay, all right.
I can't take Chandler seriously at all this entire time because
Yeah.
he looks like a washed up rapper.
Yeah, so we
even though
have.
he never started.
There's 4 of us, and the 3 of us are really normal, and then we have Chandler who looks like really hungover, but he's not.
So right now we're
But
in,
he
What does he
was.
look like hungover?
We're
I'm
in a-
wearing
we're in a-
sunglasses with my hood up indoors.
yeah, we're in a pretty dark room and he has sunglasses on and a hood up and then headphones over the hood.
Yeah.
So,
mental
yeah.
image there.
It's
how
just
it
like
looked.
really ugly and trying to hide his face.
Yeah, that's exact. It acts double.
Wow, you're catching on really fast.
Yeah.
He actually ran out of bags for the week, so we had to resort to this.
I'm sad now.
I think a quick story about how all this happened. Me and Chandler were in his room one day, like 3 days after I met him, and we were like, let's make a podcast. And so on a Rock Band mic, we made our first podcast. It was really bad. And I started emailing random people trying to find a guest, and we got this one person, and her name was Madison. And then from there, like 2 weeks later, we're in a radio station for some reason.
Not for some reason.
Not for some reason.
You did it. You came down to the station. You're like, please give us a shot.
That's true. Okay.
And that
Let
was
us
the biggest
record you.
mistake he's ever made.
What are you talking about? This is awesome. Anyways, so now I don't know, we've just taken risks, right? So we just email. On another note, PewDiePie emailed us back, and he said a hard no today.
Really no. Can we
Maybe
bring that up on the screen?
Oh, yeah. What'd you say?
I said we'll bring that up on the screen then. For the
Yeah,
video.
PewDiePie. We emailed PewDiePie and was like, hey, do you want to come on our podcast?
Basically the same email you got.
Yeah.
But of course he
Yeah.
said no.
But
And
you
he
said
said
yes.
no. He's the only
right-
person to say no. No.
very funny.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, thanks for the opportunity, no thanks. Did he actually just say no?
No. He said thanks for the opportunity.
Okay.
No thanks.
Yeah,
So right now-
he said what Will wished he had said, actually. What he had the strength to say.
Yeah, so that's.
How did you email him? You just found where did you find an email for him?
He has his
do we
business
even-
email
yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
I think
you
that's
just
what we
go. I do spam.
Stalking?
Yeah.
he spams.
I can find out anywhere to contact anyone, but this one was easy. This one was.
What?
Weird thing.
Yeah, I
It was
doxed him.
It was on YouTube. You know how you can find YouTube business emails?
Oh yeah, where you type in like I'm not a robot stuff.
Yeah, that one.
Which is a weird step in that
see it
process.
I
familiar.
do this a lot, so I found a lot of stop signs on pictures. Like I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've tricked the system.
Yes, I can do it very fast. I'm an expert stop sign finder at this point. Let's see.
Some channels like go dark, so where you like can't. There's like no way to get a hold of them. Like they like hide everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah,
of them
there are.
that are hard to find.
Vine Sauce won't even put his email on YouTube. You have to
Who
go
is
to.
Vine Sauce?
I have no idea.
Are you talking about Vsauce?
No. Vine Sauce.
I don't know who that is.
He has like 400K. I don't know. He was on the
big deal.
official
Well, that's not-
podcast.
Let's not put our value at our sub count, you know?
Okay, that's true. All right,
Just make
fine.
us feel really bad. On that note, we're gonna go to a break for a couple minutes.
All right, yeah,
We'll be
we'll
right
be
back.
right back.
Don't go away.
What did we play?
It was a commercial for the guy who does the voice of Goofy and a bunch of other characters. I don't understand.
We actually do have an advertisement that's like that.
No, I heard it.
Wait, what?
Anyway,
What just happened?
we played ads, Storm. You were there. For
No, but it was about Goofy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Didn't you
that's
hear
there's
it?
one about the guy who voices Goofy.
He actually did a spot for the station here.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
That is
He did
weird.
a Wolfman. I guess he's the voice of Wolfman Jack, which I didn't know either.
I don't know who that is.
Well, good.
We noticed we just kind of left you there, William. We were like, we're going to a break, and
Yeah.
they just cut
And
you
he's like, you
out.
should
We
just
were just
know
like,
that.
It happens. It happens a lot in real life.
so how have
Why are
you?
you laughing? What were you saying?
So anyway,
Storm's gone.
How many like invitations have you had for like anything like this? Are we like the first one, or are we?
No, like a handful. So not like
a deal store.
Okay, all right. Well,
Did you do
yeah.
it?
I'm not. Yeah.
Nice.
It cost me nothing.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's
And
nothing.
plus, otherwise I'd probably just be on Reddit or watching other people's YouTube videos.
Oh, dude, what subreddits?
Space. No, wait, never mind.
Yeah, nice save. Real nice save.
So what made you interested in engineering?
Back to why we actually have you on.
I don't know, man. I've always been building stuff my whole life. Most of it was trash. I guess it still is trash now. But
It's entertaining.
I really don't know. I played Legos a bunch, or played with Legos. Do you say play Legos or played with Legos?
Play.
Whatever you want.
Play with.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much always knew I wanted to be like some sort of like making stuff, and I think engineer just kind of fits right into it. And I don't know, I think a lot of that sort of science stuff was just generally interesting. So it wasn't like I was forcing myself to do something. It felt like, you know, these are the things I enjoy doing, and engineering is like the degree that kind of does those things, and so that's what I'll do.
Do you remember the first thing you made that wasn't with Legos and how old you were?
I remember I made some stupid little fan in middle school. It was like an art project for like an art class, and it was literally like an A-frame of popsicle sticks glued to each other, and I stuck a motor with a propeller on it. So, like
so
a fan.
I was just gonna say, so as a middle schooler, you were still smarter than I am.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No,
I've never even done
maybe.
anything close to that.
I mean, it was just a motor and glue.
Yep. Out of my little house.
That's still.
I mean, I don't know who I'm dealing with here, so I don't want to.
I mean, you heard us try to get this situated in the beginning. It didn't go well.
And
I mean, I was an art student. I couldn't even use like a saw in college.
is
like,
that what finished it for you? You had a 3D design class.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
All right, we want you to build something out of wood, and you're like, nah, I'm out. See ya. I'm switching. Pages.
Yeah, it was hard. I don't know. I was good at 2D, and she just showed up. She was like, "You're building a thing." And I was like, "Nope, no, I'm not." And it sucked. Got a C+, and I was done.
That's a passing grade.
Yeah,
That's passing grade. That
well,
transfers.
she liked me, and then she had really high expectation. Then she hated me. So
Well, that's how it goes for you, though.
Yeah, I tried to make a companion cube once, like from Portal, out of wood. It was gonna be like a chest. I'm like, oh, it's a cube, so all the sides will be the same when I cut them, and they were not. It didn't work. Then I
How did
quit.
you mess that up? I feel like I could have
It's
done that.
because wait, William, can you explain this?
Yeah.
Smarter than I can.
Say it again.
So when I cut the pieces for a cube, they can't all be the same size because that doesn't work.
Yeah, because you gotta. Well, you could, but they'd have to go corner to corner, and you'd have like a not hard edge. Or you could sand the edges at like a 45 degrees, but then that's a lot more than just cutting pieces.
Could we just have you on call to explain things?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes
that's
sense
fine.
because the edges have to be like
Yeah. So the thickness,
connect
the
Yeah.
thickness of the wood accounts into some of the sides.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to set the tone, we don't even understand how squares work, and we're going to be getting into all your engineering stuff, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
should be really
Yeah. So we find it really interesting because we don't really understand it. So when we
Clearly.
watch some of your stuff, we're like, that is amazing. And
Yeah.
we don't even know how to make
It's like-
rockets out of candy.
like
so
cavemen looking at fire.
yeah.
Does it look like I understand any of what I'm doing in
Yes.
the videos?
Yeah,
Oh,
honestly.
totally.
Most of the
It
time,
does?
but
Most of the time.
there are some times where I can see it. You're just like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
I think the thing is you do.
Like,
a lot
I've asked friends if I ever at some point have to get a real job, do I show the videos to a future employer, or are they just going to think I'm some kind of idiot?
I think they'd definitely be
Both.
impressed.
Both.
They might think you're
I'm going to be real with you. Definitely both.
Yeah.
I think it'll get you the job that you want because I don't know.
What if the only video they watch is the one where we run over fruit with the car?
Oh, you definitely have the
that,
job.
yeah, definitely, easily. That's
I watched that this morning. I did not think that's where you were going with that.
That was a feat of engineering prowess.
Did you give up on like an actual juicer project, and then you're just like, I guess this is what we'll do for the video, or was that just the
No, well,
beginning?
like 3 days before, we ran over an apple on the ground, and that's where that idea came from.
The Isaac
Like, there
Newton
was just an apple on the drive.
That's a good joke, Patrick. Oh, that's not
It
Patrick.
wasn't even Patrick who said that, so unfortunately.
So, yeah. What was engineering school like? I've always wondered what that's like. Do you just like get put in a
sucks.
classroom? Okay.
Oh, that's what I thought.
You don't just
It's a lot
get
of-
shoved
it's
in
a lot of
classroom
math.
to like make cool stuff. It's like
No, I wish. It actually is a relatively unpleasant experience. Unless you make a lot of friends, and it's fun, but for the most part, it's pretty terrible.
Where'd you go
It's
to
just
school?
lots of Northridge. It's like next to UCLA, but not nearly as good as UCLA.
So you went to the crappy
Were
UCLA.
you ever in class and
Yeah,
like staring at the window at UCLA and like, man, I wonder what's going on in there?
They're just like building.
I don't even
office
think
and
the rooms have windows there.
That sounds awful. That's just
Yeah.
really
It's actually
depressing.
a prison.
Terrible.
Yeah, that took a
I actually
dark
went to
turn.
college in a sanitarium.
Oh wait, no, that was prison. Sorry.
There it is.
So what did your prison experience teach you about engineering?
I'm really good at building things out of like scraps and
That
like,
makes sense
It
now.
does, yeah,
Yeah.
full circle. So wait,
Like
were
a
you actually in
bedpost.
prison or nah?
no, not yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, after he makes like a death ray,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll
finishes
probably
Tesla's. Yeah.
we'll get in trouble one day. I know it.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
haven't yet for any of the stuff
That,
you've
that
done.
homeless lady got kind of
No.
mad at you in the boat video.
Yeah, that was scary. I was thinking of like talking smack to her, but like she had this look in her eye, and
She's
I'm
nothing
like,
to
oh
lose.
man,
You
she,
don't
Through the
Yeah, she is.
depression,
You don't want to take
Right.
that fight.
she just looked deranged, man.
you should have went in on
And I
it.
was like, it was bad. I was worried that she was gonna like push my pumpkin into the water.
That's a big deal, actually.
Is that sad? That was actually like my biggest concern was the
No,
pumpkin.
No, that's a
That's
very
valid.
big
You
concern.
have to worry about your content.
Yeah.
If you win the fight, but she ruins the pumpkin, then like, do you
then
really
you
win?
Right.
didn't win the fight.
Yeah, then I lost the war.
Yeah.
And then you're on Live Leak instead of YouTube.
Same cameraman though.
World star.
So, what is cameraman John's background in? Because I noticed he does like a bunch of art stuff for you, like for the channel.
He does. So we've done like all sorts of videos since high school, and then he went to school for filmmaking. And then he gave up on Hollywood because it's just like the ideal Hollywood you think of is like way over glorified. Like Hollywood kind of is draining a little bit. And so I don't know. I don't even know what your plan is, but background is film, and then he's just floating around, like a barnacle that hasn't attached itself to anything in the sea yet. Is that a good metaphor? And then we started doing this. But he does weddings and stuff too. Shoots weddings.
Of course.
Yo, weddings make real money
That's
though.
what you do when you're a poor film student. You're like, I'll film your wedding.
Yeah.
No, wedding videographers make some serious money.
Nailed it.
I think a going price for a good one's like $1,500, right? Or 15 to 2,000?
You tell me.
Or maybe the DJs just make a lot more.
That's low. John says that's low.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can make some.
Well, it depends on how many people and like if you're editing or just giving them footage. Yeah, and like where you are. Why?
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to.
Oh, like rich people.
Yeah, like the financial status. Yeah.
I was talking to one of the videoers at a wedding, and she said that like the clients can be really, really picky. Does he find that like where they're just like jerks to him if he doesn't make it perfectly right?
No.
Oh,
He says just cheap people. Yeah, you can hear him.
yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
Make sure they don't curse.
Yeah, it's just cheap people that you got to deal with.
Absolutely, I agree with whatever you just said.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever he said.
So essentially, like, none Coffee Guy nor I should expect anything in terms of employment after we get out of film school.
I have no expectations.
Yeah.
Apparently the
I
wedding
think
industry-
you should expect no employment if you're not like working your butt off trying to get employment. I think that's the hardest part, is that you just have to like probably continue working in a direction that you feel like you're never going to actually succeed doing anything, and then hopefully one day eventually.
Also, you gotta live where it's at.
You gotta live where it's at.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fine with that.
LA, you gotta live in LA.
Gotta live in LA. You hear that?
It's beautiful.
Do people like LA? Do you guys like living
Well, it's
in
on
LA?
fire.
No, LA sucks. It's just dirty.
Smog.
So-
You're like in the middle of a giant city, and like some areas are nice, but I don't know. I don't think LA is very desirable.
Really? What
Yeah.
makes it not desirable? Like you said, it was dirty. What do you mean? Is it like literally dirty?
Pollution.
Is it?
Yeah, some parts have like insane numbers of homeless people. Like it's weird. It's almost like a FEMA camp of homeless people in a lot of parts of the city. Like you'll see encampments and stuff on the sides of the freeways in some parts of LA.
Is that a real thing?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how or why,
Is
but
it like
it is.
District 9? Except
Yeah,
with
seriously.
people? That's
Yeah,
cool.
it is. It's really weird.
So don't touch the homeless people because you'll turn homeless?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Dan would not enjoy that.
And it's very crowded. So you're basically in this city and it just never ends, and there's lots and lots of people.
Oh, so like Dread.
Like you can't escape.
Let's just keep referencing movies to compare to LA.
The dystopian LA we have.
I think it's just already. It is dystopia by now. Like it's just a terrible place.
Is it dystopia?
But you know it isn't dystopian. Someone made popcorn outside the studio.
Oh,
is that
what it is?
Smell that?
Can you smell that,
smell it,
Will?
William?
Oh, that was a bad joke. That's a strike on both of you. Oh wow, that's strike one.
Speaking of popcorn, we want to talk about Retina Smelter 9000 for a minute, just because.
Great segue.
I feel like that kind of gets like glazed over, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna use my laser I built real quick to pop popcorn. What is like the story behind it? Why did you decide to build that?
Are we gonna do the thing we were talking about where we want it in really technical terms?
Oh yeah. Can you
So we want to hear it, and like if you were talking to your engineering buddies, and then after you can explain it to us. Like if it's
Okay.
Do more work. Then you can dumb it.
I mean, a lot of it's the same terminology. It usually helps if I can see your face, because like the more confused you get, the smaller words I'll use.
No, use big words.
Use big words. We want big words.
Know that our faces
There's really
are
not that many big words. I mean, the general gist of like building it was that it's relatively expensive to get stuff cut. So if you make some parts and you want to have them cut, you're looking at, like basically $50 for a couple small parts, just with shipping and everything. And if you find a local place, they're probably not going to do it for cheap. Anyways, long story short, I found a guy on Reddit, which is kind of weird, but I realized he lived very close to me, so I hit him up, and I started going to him to cut some parts when I had little projects. And then he moved, and then that's it. He just moved, so I didn't have a laser cutter to use, and so I decided that I wanted one, but they're expensive, and so I found a guy on Craigslist who was selling half of what he had started building, and I bought it for like $1,500, and then took all the pieces home and had to buy like another $1,500 worth of parts, and spent like a couple months putting it together, and now I can cut anything I want, including like potatoes
and cat shirts.
And cat shirts.
So necessity was
ventilation.
the mother of invention in that scenario.
That's actually way more interesting of an explanation than I was expecting.
Yeah.
What were you expecting?
I just thought he was gonna be like, well, because I could. It seemed
that good.
It was a pretty like fiscally irresponsible decision. I basically spent like my last couple $1,000s building it.
Oh man.
No, that's a need, not a want.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, I regret that. I was regretting it at first, but now the thing gets used like multiple times a week. Like it's probably the best money I've ever spent.
I like to imagine you really depressed about your investment while you're laser cutting wood into cat faces, and you're like, was it worth it?
Well, I part of the depression was I blew up my first laser tube, and those things are like $800.
Man.
So
that's gonna be like I'm filing for bankruptcy.
So out of all the
it was just like I sat there, when you know you've done something very bad, and you don't know, your reaction is sort of just nothing. You just kind of sit there, like in silent shame. That's basically.
Yeah, it's actually how I am every day we shoot this show. Got him with that one. Sit here.
So,
he's the only guy who laughs at our self-deprecation jokes.
Yeah,
only one.
That's all my jokes are self-deprecating to the point where people can't tell if their jokes or not anymore.
Oh, that's like Chandler's life. That's the title of his biography.
Yeah.
No one
I was about to make a mom joke, but then I really regretted it.
What?
Thanks, Storm.
Yeah. I'm here for you.
Speaking of colossal disasters, Pat, you were heading somewhere with one of your topics there. You want to finish that?
We should finish that after a break, actually.
Never mind.
All right.
Yeah, we'll leave it
down.
Oh.
All right, yeah, we'll be back.
More goofy commercials.
Oh,
More goofy
that's
commercials,
exclusively what we do here.
Please stand by, Will.
All right, so we'll be right back. Actually, there's no Goofy commercial that time. There's Simon Cowell though, so that's cool.
Is it? Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
Alright. Caddy, I like the position you've assumed on top of the table.
Yeah, our cameraman, our camera woman is taking a very interesting perch.
That's gonna be a weird cut, though.
Take a shot.
It's gonna be a really weird cut.
That's
Alright,
fun.
well, good thing you don't cut any of the shows, Storm.
Okay, so, all right, didn't appreciate that at all.
Wait, do you do all your own editing? Do you want to cut all your
yeah.
videos? Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. It's all you.
Oh, really?
It's my least favorite part.
What was that?
Have you ever considered?
It's my least favorite thing to do.
Have you ever considered making a robot to do it for you?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
sounds incredibly difficult. though, and
Short-lived
not worth
idea.
it.
It's just called hiring me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Chandler would live in that chair for like $20
I
a
won't
month.
sleep or eat.
Oh,
That's
no.
pretty cheap.
That
No,
is
no, no.
good.
He would actually do that.
I
You
won't.
have to fly him out though. I think that's the only thing.
No, I'll walk.
Oh, no, we're good. So yeah,
Fine.
So if next year you want somebody to edit your videos,
just
I
he'll
know
start
a
walking
guy.
now.
I think about it a lot, and I've looked into it, but it's such a difficult thing. I mean, you look at people like Casey Neistat, or I'm trying to think of other big channels who have like immense amount of success and content, and they still won't relinquish the editing
Yeah.
Right. That's true. PewDiePie
because
doesn't.
it's you know, like
PewDiePie.
editing is
edited?
editing.
But he
Huh?
still edits a lot of his own stuff.
He edits, I think, like 90% of his stuff.
Really?
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he always has his hands in it too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even if he does like a movie or something where he has an editor, like he does have his hands in it. And like, I mean, there's so much stuff I do that I feel like not that someone else couldn't do, but it's just I don't know. I feel like I should find someone and just have them do like a test edit and see. There's a lot. There's so much that goes into it that most people don't realize.
Well, it's really hard to, you know, when you know how you want something to expect that another person is going to be able to deliver on it and to kind of relinquish, like you
Right.
said, that creative process that you know in and out.
Right.
Expect it from another person. It's a difficult thing to trust someone with, but they'll do it right.
And we do somewhat technical stuff too, and so you have to somehow explain that in the editing. And like people, like if people watch the videos and think it was like an easy edit, that's good because it means I've put stuff together in a way that looks like we shot it as is. But a lot of times that's not the case because stuff will get rearranged like heavily, very heavily, to make it more coherent.
Yeah.
That's
What?
a really good point.
Hey, what approach do you usually do to that? Do you try to do entertainment first or like educational? Or are you just trying to find like a balance between the two?
I think a balance. We sort of have plans, or at least certain projects that we know are going to be maybe a little bit more educational, but it's kind of. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. But basically, what happens is in our audience retention, that it'll show you the times of the videos that are like, you know, well watched or not watched, and the educational stuff. If it goes too deep, people start skipping forward.
That's kind of disappointing.
So, yeah, it is. But, you know, you still have a percent of the audience that does watch it. So, you know, are we supposed to cater to, like, the 30% that want to see it and let people skip forward? Or do we try to come up with a happy medium where you get 60% of people watching it, but it's not quite as educational?
Okay,
It's like a balance.
so I was gonna say, I actually like the.
I've skipped forward before, and now I feel terrible.
I was gonna say the other.
No, I
thing.
skip forward in videos all the time. Like since I edit videos, I pay more attention to how I watch videos, and I do feel guilty skipping forward because I know I'm like ruining their analytics for them.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah, I was watching the TV one, and I was just like, I want to see this TV, man.
That one
I
was-
just
that one's
want to
really-
see the TV.
I think
Right, right.
Heavily technical. The one
Not that it was bad on you. Like, it was interesting. I just really wanted to see the TV. Like,
Right, and it's a long video, and it's like I totally get it, and like that's stuff that we you know, or at least I try to learn from when editing stuff. And a lot of people will show the results up front, and I feel like I don't know, I feel that's kind of, like, at least for the type of stuff we do on the channel, since it's more entertainment than it is like tutorial wise, that it's more about the adventure. But I don't know, we've contemplating showing stuff up front and haven't really done it yet.
I like the what was the thing that could measure rotations per second or whatever it was, like the thing that made
Oh, the stroboscope?
Yeah, that's my favorite video. Just 'cause that thing's so cool.
Yeah, that thing is really cool.
Even just like for fun, just like.
Do you have a favorite project?
It's kind of hard, like, because there's different types of favorite. Because the TV, the mechanical TV, was like the most horrible project I've ever done. But the fact that that even remotely worked was like amazing. The stroboscope is really cool. a lot of the early projects were projects that I like a lot because I was able to put more time into like actually making them cool. The more recent stuff, like we've sort of gotten not lazy, but we've learned that the extra hours of effort you put into making something like more practical don't show.
Okay.
Right.
And so you end up just wasting time, and you have something maybe that you can sort of use, or I don't know, it's just that you've made better, but it provides literally no benefit for the videos or, you know, even a resume if you're trying to show your portfolio off for future employment, because they just see like the end product. They don't know if it was all taped together and falling apart.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of your resume, I think there's something on your resume that we were like interested in.
yes, this
Yeah.
is
Pumpkin combat robot?
I had. Oh wait, maybe this isn't actually what we were gonna bring up, but I had one question on here.
Good segue.
One
Someone's raising
question.
his hand right now.
I had one question for this.
Storm, you may speak.
I had one thing I put on this, and I'm pumped.
Oh, yeah.
It said you worked on experimental military weapons. Is that a lie or a truth?
Was that contracted, or were you just in your backyard blowing stuff up?
No, it's just vehicles, not weapons.
Oh, way to go.
That's a
Storm.
lie.
Storm can't read, actually.
No. It's on his.
Does it say weapons?
I'm on William's side.
I'm calling you out.
Does it say weapons?
We're about to have some beef.
Are we?
No,
Do you know your own?
Well,
I can't read ever.
I haven't worked on anything too exciting. I mean, the only weapon stuff was really not even weapons. It was an ammunition loader for the F-35. So it was like what they would put ammunition in. I had, you know, I mean, I probably was like a 1% person in that project though, so
Oh,
it
really?
wasn't like I
That's still
have done
kind of cool.
too much.
Were you like on consulting or something?
You know, I was actually an employee at this company. I was still going to school, and it's like a big like ammunition magazine that holds these like horrifyingly large rounds. They're literally like 30 millimeters in diameter, no, 25 millimeters in diameter. Is that the diameter?
That sounds terrifying.
I don't remember. They're really big though.
I'm scared.
Put that on the
And they go in a box,
Put that in
it's
the
on a
pumpkin
track,
box.
and they. Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
I mean, that thing's already pretty terrifying, but to add that on, like, what would stand up to it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't even think it would stand up to itself.
It's the pumpkin v pumpkin combat robot duel.
Yeah, I wanted to make a pumpkin bot 2.0 with like a giant pumpkin and like make the whole robot out of metal so it could actually spin really fast.
Oh, that sounds
No.
sweet.
Like where the
That's too much power.
but
Too much. Yeah,
yeah, I don't have that kind
falls
of
into the
budget.
wrong hands.
Yeah,
The world could be
that would be
ruined.
bad. I don't think I could live with myself.
It's like the guy who made dynamite,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then he felt so bad he made the Nobel Peace Prize thing.
thing.
Wait, what?
You know that?
yeah.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, the guy who made dynamite
It
felt
was
so
like
bad
Alfred
about his
Nobel or something.
Yeah, he felt so bad about his destructive invention that he did the Nobel Peace Prize. Like,
Really?
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make up for it, like try to balance his karma. Wow, this is blowing your mind right now. I've
I had
never
no
seen that
idea.
much shock on
Coffee
your
guy
face.
is. Yeah, that was crazy.
All right, I was wrong. It's experimental military equipment.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we knew you couldn't read. We said that.
Yeah, we did know that.
I guess I just got too excited.
Sorry for accusing you of something like that.
Yeah, the vehicle stuff is like these kind of crazy off-road vehicles meant for like exploration, like completely self-contained, pretty cool stuff, really expensive stuff. It's really not that exciting unless you see it. I think there's an article somewhere in Wired. What's
about
it
that
called?
project?
Yeah,
That's cool.
search.
So in the meantime, while that's happening, we're going to touch on special effects because that's also on like your online resume thing.
Yeah.
What exactly have you done in that field?
We've done a lot of different things. Oh God, so we have an old channel on the internet that I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's there.
Oh, I'm gonna find it.
Nope.
He can't read those, so he can't type.
He
So
can't
we're
see.
good.
So we've done stuff. Let me look at some of it.
It's like a Freddy
Okay,
one.
so a lot of visual effects, so stuff in After Effects.
Okay.
A lot of 3D stuff. So John is mildly decent with 3D modeling and animation. Oh, we did. If you want to see an example on the current channel, look at the VCR combat robot.
Okay.
I haven't
The
actually
very big,
watched
the
it.
very,
Oh, do you also?
the very beginning of that
Was that
has.
also? Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that video will give you a pretty good idea of some of that stuff. Because there's practical effects, there's like visual effects, there's all sorts of stuff in there. But yeah, so our old channel sort of revolved around, we'd come up with a cool effect to do, and we would make like a skit, like stupid little skits, and they'd all have some sort of special effect in them.
Okay. Was that also the Doctor Strange one? Is a pretty cool special effect in the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one's pretty sweet.
That's all After Effects.
Okay. Because
Well, there's some practical lighting there too. We had like a flickering LED.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. So when that was the biggest voice crack of my life.
And then we made a video, a Doritos commercial, like a Crash the Super Bowl commercial, where we put my dog into space.
Really?
So we like.
That dog is adorable, by the way.
Yeah, he's a turd.
He's large, dude. That's a big dog.
He smells bad.
All right.
But yeah.
Go on.
Are you okay?
I'm gonna ask a little bit of an off-topic question here.
Okay.
So you watch a lot of YouTube, right? And,
Yeah.
So who are kind of your favorite YouTubers?
Logan Paul.
Yes, I was about to ask you about Jake Paul. Oh, I'm so happy. So you're low ganger, not Team 10. That's good to know.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know which one's least worse. They're not. I mean, I don't know. There's people with all sorts of opinions on these guys. I have my own. I think. Did you actually want to talk about that?
Yes, I most definitely did.
I respect those guys a lot.
Just for doing it, just for putting themselves out there.
They like people. Like I would so be okay with getting crapped on like those guys do, if you could even have a small smidgen of the amount of success that they have. I mean, they are like major hustlers.
Yeah.
And what they do, I think, is really like hyper exaggerated. If you go back, I've been recently watching like a bunch of their recent stuff, old stuff, to try and figure out like what they are doing and what they changed over the past, year and a half, like how they sort of, what they kind of focused in on and what they thought was like good changes to make.
Mm-hmm.
And their early stuff, they're just like normal guys. Like they're way less hyperactive than they are currently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
So it's not like they're these like crazy, I mean, they are crazy now, but like I think they're a lot smarter than people give them credit for.
Yeah, they kind of like
sure.
They like morphed into a caricature of themselves
Yeah.
in the videos.
Yeah,
which, I mean,
exactly. That's exactly what happens.
But so I think a lot of the things that they do, in my opinion, are kind of scummy. We were watching the one about, me and Chandler were watching the one where he went down to Houston and he kind of staged that whole saving people out of their houses, and like then he had it monetized. So do you kind of see some of the stuff he does and think, oh wow, that's really scummy, or are you kind of on
no, totally.
Okay.
And like
But
doxing.
I think
People,
people,
he doxed Post Malone. Like that was not cool at all.
Oh yeah. The older guy, Logan, I think is less. The younger one seems to have done more questionable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very true.
but-
Yeah.
The thing that I think people don't necessarily realize is how hard it is to make this much content.
Yeah.
And so they're not like planning a lot of this stuff out super thoroughly. Like they're just like impulsive and just doing things. So if people are like, oh, that was such a bad idea, they probably at some point they're like, should we be doing this? Maybe not. But they're just like, they don't really have a choice because they have to do interesting things throughout their day to film.
Right.
And so like when the opportunity presents itself, they just do it instead of thinking too much about it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I agree with you to a point, but when it comes to some of the stuff that is so clearly staged, they had to go through a thought process and they had to come up with
Yeah, but he's saying they don't filter it because it's like
that's
they
fine,
don't
but
care.
but they do have a process for some of their videos that are really scummy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I
I
think
think
I agree with you to a point, but then I think there is scummy decisions he makes like that.
Right, and they're definitely doing bad stuff. I'm just, I'm trying to like from their side, like why it happens. Is, I think just the sheer amount of like the throughput they have to generate, and it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
Do you like iDubbbz?
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
I love iDubbbz.
I like him.
You just like him? Did he ever
I like watching him just,
do his thing?
Destroy people.
When you were doing your Kickstarter stuff, were you afraid that you'd get featured on his?
No,
Kickstarter?
I don't think we had nothing that bad. I don't think it was that bad.
That'd be my biggest concern making.
Yeah,
a
for
Kickstarter.
sure.
I mean, also to be fair, like, is he gonna destroy a video about a gardening system?
Yes,
He'd find a way.
Oh,
No.
really?
he would find a way.
That's all right.
I mean, if it's
impressive.
really
I think-
bad.
Yeah, I think it has to be very bad. I mean, he doesn't just like, he picks easy targets. Like, he picks people that almost do it to themselves,
True. That's true.
who deserve it. I think a lot of these guys aren't gonna like pick on someone who isn't deserving of it.
All right, well, we have to take.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
More good.
I want to ask some more questions about this, but we have to take a quick break.
Never.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna cut you off here and unapologetic.
We'll be right. No,
Unapologetically.
we literally just apologize, so it is apologetically, but
see.
yeah.
All right, we'll be right back with.
All right, well.
Not accepted. Bye.
All right, we're back.
All right, we're back. Oh, all right.
Hello.
You there, William?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So you are entering into your fourth segment with us, and oh
Time
boy,
goes short. unfortunately.
probably not for him. This has probably been a very painful hour for William.
Yeah. How much money do I get paid?
Oh, did we not tell him?
Five.
You're actually paying us for being on here. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh no.
We're gonna dox you unless you give us serious amounts of money. So.
So let us live in your backyard.
I'm pretty sure I've already doxed myself.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost you.
Someone actually came to us. We emailed this really small artist. She had 1,000 subscribers, which again, not going to put worth in subs, but she asked us to pay her to come on our podcast, and we were like, "Nope, don't care about you."
Oh.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like upfront. It was just the nature of it was kind of really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's differences. There's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of differences with the sort of stuff that you do and don't get paid for. Like this is not. I don't know. That's kind of weird that she would ask that.
Yeah,
This is not good. So like you wouldn't want.
Yeah, like they were asking us about our reach, like our budgets, and I was like,
Zero across the board.
this is going to be 30 minutes of your time. It's free publicity. Even if we don't have a huge
Right.
reach, it's free. Like, why would we have to pay you? We don't care about you. Like,
Right. You're not like promoting someone's product or something. It's
Yeah.
We're just having a chat.
Tell us how you really feel about William.
yeah. No, I definitely think that's bad that she asked for money.
Yeah, okay, that makes all right. That's awesome. So
Storm's like,
You're
he
on our
talks about
side. We can't be
something,
wrong.
yes,
And then as soon as William's like, yeah, you're right, he's like, oh, thank God. I really don't want to.
just someone else agreeing with me that has at least a little bit of knowledge in this area makes your self-esteem slowly going up. So YouTube, back to YouTube. We're really interested. Who is your favorite YouTuber? Oh, first, have you ever met any like big YouTubers? Have you ever gone to what is it, YouTube Con or
Hope VidCon.
I haven't gone to con, and I've hung out with some big channels. So I think the sort of biggest channel was Binging with Babish. We did a video with him.
That video was
He's
awesome.
super cool. And then we hung out with I Like to Make Stuff. His name's Bob. He's a million plus channel. Who else? Oh, Hacksmith. We hung out with him. Yeah, I mean, we've met a lot of very, very cool people who I've watched their content since before we made videos.
Yeah, all the clouds are
I
pretty
can't imagine it doesn't watch any of them.
No, okay.
Does it ever like do you ever go into that kind of like fanboy mode where you're just like you just like you see them as a character and you're like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm talking to this person, or do you just kind of see them as your peers now?
It's just peers. I've never really been like super kind of fanboy because I don't know. I guess for a while I've realized that it's just people, and even more so now having made the channel. Like I'm just some dude who made videos like a year ago that literally nobody watched. We were looking at our analytics a couple days ago, and you look at the videos when we posted, get like 9 views.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like the toy car video, I mean, this is like nobody subscribed to the channel. I just started making some videos. It was just like some friends on Facebook watching them, and 9 people watched them. And now we post a video and it will pretty much overnight be at like 150,000 views. And I'm like the same person that I was when we made videos that had 9 views when we posted them.
Right.
Yeah, that definitely comes across in your videos too.
Yeah. Does it feel? Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I was worried you were gonna we'd call you and be like, all right, these are my demands. If they're not met, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Were you actually scared of that?
No, I wasn't actually scared of that. But he's like, yeah, he's exactly like he's in his videos. And it's really cool.
We love.
The only people I'm a jerk to are sponsors, or people that are looking to put sponsored content in the videos.
Well, they have an agenda.
Those are the only people I'm.
Oh wait,
they have an
jerks to
agenda.
them?
Yeah.
Wait, how are you like jerks to them?
No, I'm not. I'm just very aggressive and like
You have to be.
ask for too much money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do. You ask for too much.
So that's just like
Yeah,
just a-
other people have the other problem, but I ask for a lot because it's like you're touching like sensitive areas of advertising to this audience that trusts you, that you've built this relationship with, and if you're gonna try to rip me off, like no.
No, it totally makes
Nuh-uh.
sense.
definitely.
And a lot of people on YouTube, for some reason on YouTube, it doesn't have as much on other platforms right now, but whenever you start advertising and plugging stuff on YouTube, the YouTubers get really, like the audience will usually get really standoffish about
Upset.
it.
Yeah,
it
it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
So it's like we basically have to put a lot of effort into figuring out how do we produce this so that it is okay. And like we have some stuff lined up. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. I haven't heard from them that it fits much better. But we've had like some mobile game companies email us, and it's just like I don't want to, like I don't play mobile games at all. So I would feel like such a I don't know, kind of a bad person for trying to promote these things.
It's also really bad when they just like shove it in the video where like has nothing to do with them. And they're like,
well, how's that bad if you just put it at the very beginning?
Well, because I'm saying it's disingenuous.
If there's nothing to do with your plot, like
well,
if you got mobile,
they're not asking for a pre-roll. So like the pre-roll ads are great on AdSense because you don't have to have any association with them. But like embedded sponsorships, they're asking you to tell the audience that you enjoy the thing.
Oh, okay, so that's different. I thought you could just put it at the beginning and say, "Hey, this is sponsored by."
You could do that, but nobody wants that. They want your endorsement.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense because they are paying for you as a character. Okay,
right.
I'm learning something.
So you wanna talk about movies for a little bit?
Yeah.
So, Chan, why don't you cover that?
Well, in terms of special effects, which we grazed earlier, I'm interested in the whole debate of practical versus digital effects in films because it's something that I research a lot and I find an interesting thing. But I'm not sure because you said you worked on special effects, so I'm not sure if
not like professionally, but
but
we've done some I think TV quality effects, not movie quality.
It's like what? That's a really interesting balance too, because it's always like people say digital are bad, but that's only bad digital that are bad. Like digital that takes you out of the experience is bad, but like Doctor Strange, that was like amazing movie, and most of that was like digital effects.
Well,
yeah, I think Freddie W has a really good video on it where he says the same thing: is that it's not visual effects is bad, it's bad visual effects that are bad.
I know exactly. I've watched that exact video.
But I just remembered. Like that's where I got this idea.
We were learning that in our media class.
But yeah, it's true because the bad digital effects is the only stuff you notice, and the good stuff goes kind of on the wayside.
It's like just mostly your investment in the movie and how like immersed you are, and like even I'm never like that immersed in the movie where it's like this is happening, but it's like that's when bad CG comes up, it's like oh come on guys,
it's like jarring.
Yeah,
like I was the minority saying that the CG in Alien Covenant, I don't know if anyone's seen that film, but that was bad. But Alien's a franchise that started out, it was all practical. The alien was practical.
Right.
And then for it to be CG, I found is like weird now.
Lord of the Rings is like that too. Where like all the battles and stuff, a lot of that, like there's a lot of actors in makeup just fighting. And then they had like Pale Orc the Defiler in the Hobbit trilogy, who was CG, and he was like a main character.
Right.
It was really weird.
I think the combination is like the healthiest way to do it, where you get the real stuff that's hard to replicate and like lighting and things like that, and then you add the CG on top of it to like glorify it or add certain stuff in.
Yeah, that seems to be like,
because either one on their own, you have a bunch of like shortcomings. Like the practical effects are stuff that you just can't do, like for the correct price, and then the CG just always looks like hollow and fake.
Yeah,
uncanny valley, like Rogue One, Grand Moff Tarkin being CG, awful.
Right, yeah, but you can tell, like, something looks off about it.
Yeah, it's uncanny valley for sure. And then they did the same thing with Leia. Well, the uncanny valley effect
what does that mean?
It's the idea that there's a certain, so I guess of like the timeline of something that isn't real trying to be made, something that isn't human trying to look human, so like a robot or something, or a special effect.
There's like a point. So like a cartoon is obvious, right? It's like a cartoon kid.
Yeah.
but you can tell it's a person, but it doesn't look like a person. And so, like, if you follow that transition from being a cartoon to being, like, photorealistic human, there's, like, a very weird transition where it's close enough that it looks like it could be real, but it, like, freaks you out because you know something's wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So it's like the point where, I guess like live action movies, you want the point to be as close to they look real as
right,
possible.
but the problem is when you're trying to approach that is that you'll have it so that you're close, but you're not close enough to capture like real humanity.
Right.
And it'll just.
And at that point, you have to go backwards. Like, you can't,
Right.
if you stay there, it's almost worse than just making the sort of rendition more fake.
True.
Like, more fake is better.
Honestly, I think in a lot of cases you can get away with that better. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never learned any of that. I didn't really think of that. That's true. When you look at Leia in the very end of that movie, it's weird.
It is weird.
It is.
It's not even like terrible.
They don't really have any option.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were kind of stuck in a situation.
Well, my thing with Tarkin is like they didn't have to show him, or they could have showed him as a hologram or something. Like, they didn't, it's like
they did. John was just saying in the new Blade Runner, we watched it was Harrison Ford's love interest, right?
Yeah.
The android. They did that, and you couldn't really even tell. They did such a good job.
right. Yeah.
Again, you don't notice if it's good.
That's true.
You know, like that's such an interesting point.
It's also weird how like practical effects seem to hold up better when they're outdated. Or, like,
Yes.
when they
It's so true.
Between practical and computer generated, practical kind of holds up better because you can kind of like, I don't know, like Jurassic Park still looks good. Like obviously the dinosaurs aren't real, but they look.
Star Wars, the first one.
Some of the dinosaurs are real. It's a mix. So like they used it where it was appropriate.
You can tell a lot of it is like animatronic rubber skin on it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can tell, but it's like I feel like more immersed than if like a huge cartoon.
Yeah, you can sort of ignore it.
Yeah.
How was the
I think it's a good movie though. It's a good movie where you sort of are like more forgiving. And there's like low light stuff too, where it's like a lot of shadows and.
Yeah, so it's
That's
easier to
dark.
trick. Yeah.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Pat?
Coffee guy? Yeah. That's okay. My real name isn't actually Patrick, so we didn't mess up this time.
Yeah.
How was the speeder bike scene in Return of the Jedi shot? Because I think that held up really, really well. You know what
I
I'm
think that's
talking
green
about?
screen. It had to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they actually built those speeders.
No.
And like lifted off. Yeah.
There's a lot of
Shot
like.
on location on Tatooine too.
No, not the pod race.
I'm
The
pretty
speeder bike in Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi.
what are you doing? That's
Oh.
not a tattoo.
I'm pretty sure
you're right.
that scene was filmed in California because those are sequoias.
Yeah, it was.
Sequoias.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, as it confirmed my camera, John, because
You would
You
know.
probably have
Camera John
You're
actually
like skipping
built
the man part.
The speeders.
Cameraman John.
Camera John.
Oh, is it cameraman John?
He's just a camera.
Cameraman John. It's all one word and it's all lowercase.
Is he a
Cameraman John.
Is it just a sentient camera?
Yeah. Yes,
with
he
a hand.
is.
I've seen his hand.
Yeah.
With the hand. The hand is no. That's actually a
With
robot.
a hand attached.
That's actually CG.
Is that a practical or digital hand?
It's sometimes both, depending on what the budget is.
That is the best combination.
That is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think too much CG ruins movies?
Yeah, it just depends on like how bad it is. I mean, because some movies are like all CG. If you look at some of the Avengers movies, like in the city scenes, where like 95% of it is computer generated with some live action stuff composited on top. I mean, you have to use both. You can't use just one or the other. But I think there's times where you just see the bad examples where they either use not enough CG or very bad CG or no practical effects.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's so much, and it's just bad CG. That Freddie W. video does such a like thorough job of explaining what the whole deal is.
It does.
Mad Max movies like CG throughout.
Right, like the Mad Max movies, John is saying, are like massive amounts of CG, but you don't really see it because they were used in an appropriate manner where it was like filling in the background. I mean, look at like Forrest Gump, where they get rid of Lieutenant Dan's legs.
Yeah.
That was CG.
Like you don't even think about it. I think that was actually the example they used in the Freddie W. video.
They did use that.
Freddie W.
But like adding trees or
Freddie W. came out with Video Game High School, right? Did you like that? Did you watch
Yeah.
that series?
It's not. Camera John did. I don't know. I watched some of it, and it just wasn't really. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't. Yeah, it felt like it was for a younger audience.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
That was
Yeah, I think so.
It was good though. Like the story was there. It was just it was for a younger audience.
I only watched the first season.
That's all as far as
I watched it all. I kind of feel childish now.
Yeah,
That's fine.
You're 12.
So we were talking about. We were talking about.
Okay.
We were talking about MCU earlier. Just before we finish the show, what is your favorite Marvel movie?
Definitely the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's probably between the first Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange did really well for changing that the monotonous nature of where like the cinematic universe was going. It was getting a little predictable, and then Doctor Strange came out and it just like.
Well, they both were, I think. I think that was probably the reason why I like them. Is Guardians of the Galaxy was just like, it was completely different with like aliens, not as the bad guys even, but you were like off planet in alien territory for the first time. I mean, Thor was like, it's just basically the same thing as Earth or whatnot. So it was like they completely pulled the carpet out from under you.
Yeah.
And
Also,
they finally learned how to color
very
grade.
similarly with Doctor Strange.
They finally learned how to color grade.
So both those movies are great examples of CG done well.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the favorites of In Here Real Fast? What is your favorite movie, Patrick? Or
Marvel?
Yeah, Marvel movie.
I like Logan a lot.
That's
Okay.
That's
Probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Logan is so
Well, that's Fox, so I mean that is Marvel.
I mean,
but does that count as Marvel?
No.
Cinematic
Well,
Universe?
okay. So in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
I know, but does that count as MCU?
no,
Isn't that part
it's
of it?
not.
Wait.
No.
Nope.
Because
They just own the rights, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
I think if Marvel could steal those rights back, they would.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah, 'cause-
That's why they grabbed Spider-Man.
For 5 minutes.
Right.
I'd have to go Deadpool then.
That's also not in.
Isn't it?
cinematic.
That's also
That's
Fox.
Fox.
Oh well, it doesn't.
It is Marvel.
It is
It's
Marvel.
Marvel, but it's not in the cinematic
I don't
universe.
understand.
It's not.
Yeah, so like Fox bought the rights to use the X-Men and Deadpool.
I knew they had.
True.
I didn't realize they had Deadpool. I knew they had X-Men.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Well, that's why the X-Men are in.
I know, but there's like 2 of them. I thought
Well,
that might have been
Deadpool,
like a-
Deadpool came from the same.
Oh right.
That
There
Deadpool's
was bad
technically.
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool's technically from the X-Men
Yeah, I'm
universe.
just an idiot.
It's true.
So
And
what,
that's also why the Spider-Man in the new movies is so weird, because the rights are owned by Sony, so they basically had to like come to some agreement to use their own property that they had licensed to Sony to use. Like, it's kind of a weird thing, like Indian trading.
It's really weird.
Good job, Marvel, for negotiating on those deals so well that you lost such an iconic character.
It's a shame that I knew like all that stuff coming in, and I still managed to answer incorrectly twice.
Yeah, that's really.
Let someone else go now. So
yeah,
like,
Chandler, what's your favorite one?
That's really difficult. I mean, Guardians of the
Logan?
Galaxy is a really it's Logan. Guardians of the Galaxy was really amazing. I think that first time around. I don't think Guardians 2 did as well of a job to follow it up, but
That's to be expected, though.
I also think like the first Avengers movie was pretty rad.
Yeah.
Although in hindsight, it's now become more commonplace. Like I feel like the Avengers films get the most monotonous and.
We were so excited, though. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, I was so hyped for Avengers.
And it was good too. We all go in. It's amazing. We walk out. I think I love the experience, not as much as the movie. Because at this point, we've seen it.
At this point, yeah, but looking back, that was really
looking
cool.
back,
That was
looking
really
back.
Like the first Marvel movie that I walked away from, that was like that was rad. When they were still setting up the MCU was Iron Man.
Well, so those are my two favorites from the MCU. It was the first Iron Man and the first Avengers.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That was when it was still fresh and it was still fun.
That's interesting choices, because that was farther back. My favorite is Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
That is, I forgot about that movie. That's,
Winter Soldier.
That's really good.
I'm gonna go with a really lame answer. I'm gonna say the original Captain America.
That's a good movie too.
It was a pretty good war
Couldn't
story.
color grade. Couldn't color grade to save their lives.
you know.
It was terrible.
It wasn't maybe the best superhero story, but it was a really good war story.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then Peggy. Is it Peggy?
Peggy 18.
No.
So,
Oh wow!
What a reference.
Wow.
We should really
That's a
wrap
strike.
up soon.
I guess we should wrap up.
What?
I guess.
We should stop wasting Will's time.
We should,
honestly.
yeah. He has to make that sweet invention.
That sweet invention.
Oh yeah, what are you working
I'm
on
just
right
delaying a taser net gun.
now? Right.
You heard it
From
here
Thor
first.
Ragnarok.
That sounds a lot like that death ray we're worried about you making and getting in trouble for.
I have one of those already.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you just can't tell us about it.
Yeah.
No, it's the laser cutter. It's literally a death ray.
It's true, actually.
Does that hurt you?
Oh, definitely. He does a video where he
I
shows.
burned myself once.
Oh, you really?
How bad was it? Is it like 3rd degree?
I don't really know what it was. It was like instantaneous 2nd degree.
Oh.
So it was like an instantaneous blister.
Oh.
And because I was just like I was aligning the laser, so I tapped the power on to very quickly pulse it to leave marks on like masking tape. So I put masking tape over the mirrors, and my thumb just like drifted in front of it, and so I tapped it. It wasn't like a hot pan where you touch it and you have to wait to see that it's hot and then you pull away. It was like I never intended on holding it on. But the outer layer was like black, and I was like,
God.
"Oh no!" Like I thought I had like
that's
3rd degree
terrifying.
burn.
Well, we're glad you survived that.
But
Glad.
it turns out I had just like superheated the very outer layer of skin, so like the very very thin layer of skin turned into charcoal or char, and then there's just a blister underneath it.
Well, now I have a new fear, so that's good.
It's scary.
Yeah, no, that's pretty terrifying. Yeah, I hate power tools, and that's a scary power tool.
Really?
Oh, power tools freak me out.
That's
Anyways,
Because you dropped out of college because you had to use some.
yes, they were scary. Sanders freak me out, okay? Have you seen those big Sanders?
Oh.
I think the worst are like table saws and skill saws. I got so much crap for my table saw usage. I knew it was bad, but what was I gonna cut that wood with? I don't know. A hacksaw. I still get comments on that video that say you should never use a table saw again.
So we're gonna wrap up here.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Let's just go around first and plug ourselves, and then let him plug his stuff real fast. Storm the Intern on YouTube at Storm the Intern. Patrick, what you got cooking? Any plugs?
Just social media for the podcast.
Aw,
Instagram,
how selfless.
Twitter. What else? Snapchat,
Snapchat,
Facebook.
yeah.
Please check out and follow the Poorly Edited Podcast Facebook page if you've been enjoying listening to this. We try to keep it very up to date with what's going on when we're going live, who we're having on, all that sort of nonsense. So.
And
I hope, William, you know this isn't aimed at you, right? Like we're not.
Yeah, no.
We're not
We're
begging you.
operating under the impression that somebody out there is listening.
just William.
Specific. Can you do that though, William? Please.
No,
we need to.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a busy dude.
I don't even promote my own channel, man.
Well, you will now.
Yeah, you don't have an
I'm gonna
option.
plug myself, or should one of us?
Chandler.
You can check out Sly Elliott on YouTube and everything else, or not. That's okay. I understand. And you should also, obviously, go check out Will, and because he's
check out Logan Paul Vlogs.
Yep,
Logan Paul Vlogs.
That's where you'll find him.
Yep.
William Osman on YouTube.
Yeah. So what are the actual things people can look you up on? Because I have people who listen and actually surprisingly care, and will look up your stuff.
I have an Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Facebook page. And very recently, I got a Twitter. I still don't really understand how it works. I'm afraid to say something that's going to get me into trouble on Twitter. So I've been very, sparingly using Twitter. I'm very active on Instagram, though.
Okay.
Same.
Sweet.
Check him out.
And those use. I think you can search my name, but if not, the username is Crabs and Science.
Did you just look out your window and be like, oh, okay.
I see crabs and science.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to be inappropriate. I feel like there's some golden joke opportunity, but
We'll have to use our imagination.
I was crab fishing actually off the pier a bunch,
And that's
and
what I
I do
figured out.
science.
That's
And
cool.
that's it. I was like, I like crab fishing and I like science. So, yep, that's it. I don't regret it that much.
All right. I guess we'll wrap it up.
All right. Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening to the
Thank you
Poorly
so
Edited
much.
Podcast.
Thank you, William, so much
Yeah,
for
thanks,
wasting
Will.
your time with us. You were
Yeah,
amazing.
thanks for having me.
You've been amazing.
Yeah.
Anytime.
This has been a blast.
Yeah.
Can we get that in writing?
Yeah, I'll put a good word in for you guys with PewDiePie.
Oh, thanks.
You did- yeah, totally. Thank you.
Just kidding. I can't get a hold of him either.
All right.
Wait, you can't get a hold of Casey Neistat though. So
Just barely.
and through the way
Yeah.
all the fans get to
He
him.
just shouts out his window.
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
All right, and I guess that does it for us.
So see you guys.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Adios.
That's what keeps me going, because if it was about me, I'd stop any day. Just thank you, Lord, I'm here. I never imagined this.
I was born to be the arch, told moms that I could. I'm already impacting the youth like I promised that I would. So why you even act like I do no good? Funny cause I've been doing more than I should. I made the decision as a kid I would grind for it. I had no other choice, put it all on the line for it.
Thank you so much.
I do it for my dogs, but still doing time for it. Yeah, I just thank God that I'm still alive for it. And I can't sleep these days, there's I take one. If they don't have a story these days, they'll make one. Yeah. Life is always on, man, I never get a break from it. No matter where I go, I can never get away from it. That was not around, but I grew into myself now.